So we're going to get up to standing, and you're welcome to have your feet at hip bone distance from one another, or if you like to practice with your big toes together, you can place a little space between your heels. And then I just invite you, I love just doing when I get to standing, just doing simple shoulder rolls feel great to me, just inhaling to roll up, exhale to release down. You can close your eyes at this point if you want. Maybe you take a couple of those shoulder rolls, and then eventually we're just looking to start to settle into our standing position over the next couple rounds of breath. Spreading out into your feet. Feeling your toes gripping down to the ground. Slight bend in the knees, that micro bend just so they're not locked. Tailbone might pull slightly back towards the heels. You might feel the low abs then draw in. And then we're open through the chest with those shoulder heads down away from the ears. Just release the weight of the arms and feel the length all the way up through the back of your neck. Beautiful. Dirga Swasam Pranayama. This is the 3-part breath. So just release your air all the way down to empty. Breathe into the low belly for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Breathe into your mid-abdomen. 1, 2, 3, hold. Fill all the way to the chest, all the way to the shoulders. Once you've got your full breath, just relax around it. And then like you were quieting a child with your exhale, and then begin Ujjayi breathing. So those inhales through the nose, sipping the air from the bottom, smoothly through the middle, all the way up to that full top point. And then exhaling back out the nose like you're fogging up a mirror. Using the muscles in the back of the throat to control the intake and the release, and also to create that sound of a hollow wind. And as we engage the breath, which is automatically usually engaged by the body, but we have the choice to engage consciously if we'd like to, we start to practice mindfulness. So your breath is your connection with a mindful practice as we go through the postures, as we go through the flow. So let your breath be at the forefront. Let it be your guide for your practice. And then just take what works for me and leave the rest behind. Nice deep inhales, nice long exhales. Eyes can blink open to a soft gaze up front. And then on the inhale, just stretch and reach your arms up tall in space. Breathe in Tadasana Mountain. And on your exhale, hinge out from your hips with a little bend in your knees, swan dive all the way down to your forward fold. Release the head at the bottom and then inhale halfway up. Press to your shins, slight bend to your knees, tone your shoulder blades in, gazes down. On that exhale, refold. And then for the first forward fold, just a ragdoll frame, so feet might go a little bit wider than hip bone distance. Opposite hand grips the outside of opposite elbow or bicep. Weight of the head releases as you gently sway side to side or lightly rock back and forth. And then just release your left fingertips, fists, or palm to the ground. If your feet are not at hip bone distance, we'll bring them into hip bone distance. Rooting into your left fingertips, fists, or palm in the middle of your mat, bend into your left knee, reach your right arm tall, and then lengthen into your right leg. So again, bending into your left knee, and then pressing down into your right heel, reaching right arm up, so twisting open towards that right wall. Staying with those inhales, staying with those exhales, and you should be creating a nice line on the back outside edge of that right leg all the way down into it. When your next exhale comes, friends, just fold forward, and then we're going to switch our sides out. So now as you're ready, right fingertips, fists, or palm down in the center, bend into your right knee, press and lengthen into that left leg, pressing down into the outside edge of the foot, into the heel. Left arm is up, and the gaze is to the side, the left side of the room. Beautiful breathing. And then, when you're ready for it, exhale, refold. keep the weight heavy in the head and the arms. If your big toes come back together, that's awesome. Otherwise, leave it at hip bone distance. Vertebrae by vertebrae, take that roll up to standing. Head is the last thing to come up, and when your head comes up, inhaling to reach up tall the mountain. And on the exhale, just bring your right hand to your hip. Left hand will grab the top outside of the right side of your head and will pull the left ear towards the left shoulder. And then as you're stretching out the right side of your neck, you could walk your left fingertips towards the forehead, lifting your chin up, getting more into the front right edge of your neck. Or you could walk your fingertips more back to the base of the skull, let the chin drop forward, finding the back right edge of your neck. Nice breathing. And then we can take the left fingertips to press into the left side of the head, bring the head upright, and we're just going to switch our sides out. So inhale to extend your arms up tall in space. On your exhale, left hand can come to your hip as the right fingers grab the top left side of your head. Just draw the right ear down towards your right shoulder. And then again, if you want, you could walk fingertips forward, lift chin up, find the front left edge of the neck, or walk fingertips back more towards the base of the skull, chin comes down, and find the back left edge of your neck. And then right fingertips can just press into the right side of your head, maybe to your temple, bring your head upright, make any little adjustments you need to through your neck before we move on. And then we'll inhale to reach up tall into that mountain, Tadasana. On the exhale, hinge out from your hips, swan dive, forward fold, Uttanasana. When the inhale comes, come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana, that half lift. And then plant your hands, step back into plank, and lower down into your tabletop. Once you're in your tabletop, friends, turn the insides of your wrists forward to the front of the room. Your thumbs will point to the sides of your mat. Your fingers point back. And then you press down to the degree that feels good to you. So if you need to lessen the pressure, you can. You might just be shifting side to side. You might be rocking back and forth. If you're rocking back and forth, there's the option to rock back and peel your hands off the mat back to your fingertips, lifting the palms, and then gently roll back forward. All we're doing is getting into the wrists. We're getting into the forearms. We're getting into the circle of the palm. We're getting into the fingers. This can look different for everybody. You can start to press the back of your hands to the ground if you'd like. Your fingers could face one another, or your fingers could point to the back of the room. And same thing, where you've got control of how much pressure you're doing into the ground. Or maybe you're doing that same lean back to your fingernails this time, and then gently roll back forward. Again, lots of different ways this could look. And when you're feeling complete with that warm-up for hands, wrists, and forearms, Hero's Pose is fantastic. So just bringing the tops of the feet to the ground, knees together, sit bones towards the heels, and just taking a roll out through your wrists, moving through your fingers. We'll meet up in a plank position where we're going to go through some push-ups. You can just take a regular plank where you've got your hips on level with your shoulders. You could also lower to your knees and cross your ankles. And then at your own pace, you're taking exhales that bring you halfway down, biceps toned in towards center line, and then inhales that lift you back up to the top. And the key is to avoid bending your hips. So whether you're on your toes or whether you're on your knees with your ankles crossed, we want to keep that plank from the knees through the back of the head, or from the heels all the way through the back of the head. Find maybe one more, find maybe two more, slow and controlled. And then we'll meet up on our belly for Bhujangasana Low Cobra. So letting yourself lower flat down to the ground. Tops of the feet are to the earth. Palms slide lower to frame mid-ribs. Shoulders squeeze in. Chest lifts off the ground. Find length through the back of your neck. And you're not so much pushing your chest off the ground through your arms as you are lifting with your core and lifting with your back. So try just floating your hands slightly up off the earth so you feel that. Find one more deep breath into it. And when your next exhale comes, lower all the way to the earth. And And we'll meet up in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. You can move through tabletop or through your plank. And as you get to your down dog, friends, please warm it up. You can slowly walk out the down dog, bending into one knee at a time, letting opposite heel pull towards the floor. And then as you start to hold it, spread out into the full circle of your palm, into your fingers, into the pads of the fingers, your knuckles. Hands are just slightly wider than your shoulders, right about there. Weight of the head releases. Rather than elbows locked, that micro bend, biceps toned into center line. And then you are lifting the hips up tall. Maybe even starting with a little bit of a bend in your knees so you can really focus on just that diagonal from your hands all the way back up through your hips. And then when you've got that diagonal, really exploring the length down the back of your legs as your heels draw down towards the ground. And inhale lifts our right leg back up into a one-legged down dog or a three-legged down dog. And you're pressing back through your heel or you're pressing back through the ball of your foot, creating that diagonal line of energy. On your next exhale, just bring your knee into your forehead, rounding, and hold. Your back heel can lift high. Stay with the breath. Knee towards forehead, forehead towards knee. You got it. We'll take an inhale to draw that right leg back up, three-legged down dog. And then on the exhale, just work up into your low lunge position. So foot up in between your hands. High crescent lunge when you are ready. So drawing up tall through your body here. Your thighs can tone in towards center line, stabilizing you. You can spread onto that right foot, pressing down to it, and then you can feel that right glute hugging back and in. Find that reach up through your arms, pinkies forward, thumbs back, so shoulders relax away down from the ears, and you're feeling that opening through your chest. And then we will do a vertical twist to the right. So when you exhale, you reach your right hand behind you, your left arm goes forward, your spine is straight up in space. Gaze is over towards the right, or your gaze is even going back where those right fingertips are reaching. You can bend your back knee a little bit deeper if you want to intensify it or stay right where you're at. Working with those inhales, working with those exhales. And when you're in twists, when you exhale, your body will release a little bit deeper into the twist. Get to the end of the breath, and then on the next inhale, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So knife edge of that left foot to the ground, left arm back, right arm comes forward. Heels are in one line from through the center of the mat from the front of the room to the back. Right sit bones tucked underneath your body. There's strength going down that back left leg, pushing into the knife edge. There's that same strength pushing down to your right foot. And then the tone of your thighs in, that right glute drawing back up in, spine nice and tall, shoulder heads released down away from the ears, relaxed away from the ears, and gaze out over those front fingertips. Right knee over your right heel, so the stance is long enough that your right thigh is coming more parallel with the earth. On that next exhale, take your extended side angle pose, right forearm to right thigh, or maybe length of right arm down inside of right leg where your elbow presses back in towards the knee, the back of the hand presses towards the inside of the ankle. You've got two choices with your left arm. It could be a diagonal from your back left leg, that's awesome, or it could reach straight up in space. There can be a tendency as you move from Warrior 2 to extended side angle for your back left hip to lift up higher than your right. And we want to avoid that move. So you want to make sure that left hip is dropped down, your right hip's up on level with your left when you are here. And it's a lift through that inner right side body, friends, the strength of your inner right side body. Take one more inhale here, one full round of breath, so get down to the end of the breath. And on your inhale, we return up into our Warrior 2. Turn your right palm to the sky, and as you exhale, reverse your Warrior. Left hand to your hip thigh or behind you as that right arm draws up tall. Feel that big stretch up through your side body. If you came up out of your lunge, commit back into it. Beautiful breath in. And when the exhale comes, just cartwheel your hands down to frame your right foot. Low lunge, turn onto the ball of the left. Your gaze comes up slightly, and we're going to step the left foot up to meet the right into chair pose. So you are welcome in Utkatasana, up at the top of your mat, to have your big toes together, your knees, ankle bones, thighs all pressed in, or to have things at hip bone distance. Either one is great. Take a cactus position with your arms, a field goal position with your arms, so you can feel those shoulder blades drawing back and in. The weight is back down into the heels. There's that grip through your feet, and then you want to strengthen around the knees. So fire up through the leg muscles, fire up through your glutes, fire up through your core. Beautiful. And then when you're ready, vertical twist to the right in chair. So if you want, you could lift your heels off the ground. That's the way I like to do it. Right arm going back, left arm going forward. Your left knee will want to spin forward beyond your right knee as you twist to the right, and we're keeping the knees squared up towards the front of the room as we take this twist. You don't need to lean super far forward. You can feel the center of the gravity is right over the balls of the feet here. You're staying with that breath. You're creating that strength in your legs. Again, watching that the left knee is not twisting super far forward. It's right on level with your right. Beautiful. And then drop your right heel. Inhale, arms and left knee lift up into our one-legged mountain. So left knee is bent at 90. Your gaze is forward towards the front of the room. That big right toe is rooted down into the floor. Stay with that breath. Excellent. And then for a figure 4, we cross the left ankle over the right thigh, over the right knee. And it's a one-legged chair. You're flexing your left toes in towards your shin. And then you're sitting back into that chair. So you really need to fire up around that right knee so you're not dropping your weight into it. Hands can go to heart center. That's fantastic. You could do one hand to knee. You could do one hand to foot. You could also just stay up at one-legged mountain if this one's not in the cards for you today as well. And if we were on our backs, this would be a reclined pigeon. So you're also getting a hip opener while you are here. I love that part of this pose. If you're ever out camping and you need a hip opener and you can't sit down in like the dirt or something, this is a great one, even if there's something by you that you're sticking your hand out onto. So friends, just rise back up to that one-legged mountain. And then at the end of this sequence, if you want to layer up, it's the extension of your left leg forward. And rather than extending and leaning back, it's an extension, and then imagine there's a suitcase handle on your left thigh, and that's lifting up at the same time. So if anything, it's actually a press forward through your left foot as you lift. And then on an exhale, just root the left foot to the ground, hands to your heart center where it's standing. And this is a nice time if you like to get the wiggles out or roll roll out your ankles or shake your hands or anything. It can feel great. And then from the top of the diving board, an inhale brings us up into our mountain pose as you breathe in. And on the exhale, that hinge out from your hips and your swan dive to your forward fold, releasing the head at the bottom. Inhale brings us halfway up. Extend the spine, strengthen around it. Plant the hands, move to your plank, and then it's a vinyasa, a flow, and it's your choice. Maybe you're going right to down dog. Maybe you're lowering halfway to chaturanga dandasana. You could go upward facing dog like I'm doing, or a low cobra. Up dog, it's just the tops of your feet and your hands. Your hips are off the ground. Biceps toned in, shoulder heads away from the ears. And then yes, we all meet up at downward facing dog. Take a couple rounds of breath to reorient into that down dog. Find the alignment. Release the weight of the head. And then left leg lifts up on your inhale. Three-legged down dog. Think about pressing back up through your heel. Pressing back up through the ball of the foot. We want to watch that we're not sinking into the right hip as we lift the left leg. The right hip needs to stay strong and lifting up and back in space to help extend that left leg back and up. And then on your exhale, you will bring the left knee in towards your forehead, rounding through the spine. Back heel lifts high. You're holding here and breathing. That cat position in our back. Inhale takes it back up, three-legged down dog. And then that low lunge on the exhale, work the foot all the way up between your hands. Once you've got your foot up in between your hands, we can take it up into our high crescent lunge. And we can drop down into it to the point where, we've got that left knee at 90, your thighs parallel to the ground, and then add that stabilizing, bring those thighs to tone in towards center line. Feel that press down into the ground, that hug back up through the glute. And then it's a big heart opener, this one, when we allow those shoulder heads to release down. The gaze can even come up. You've got a vertical twist to the left on your next exhale. So left hand is behind you, right arm is forward. And again, the spine remains straight up in space in this one. You might think that you need to lean forward into it, but leave the spine straight up right above the hips and let those arms spin open. Let that back left arm do the work of reaching back, opening through your left shoulder as the right arm goes forward. Nice. Stay with your breath. So once you hit the end of your next exhale, the following inhale will be our warrior two. So knife edge the right foot to the ground. You can readjust the stance as you need to. I tend to elongate my stance out a little bit, really feel into those heels on one line. Left toes, left fingers going forward. Left sit bone underneath the body. If you find yourself leaning forward, just pull back so the chest is right over your hips. And then you are spreading out into the legs here, right? We do get the hip opener, but then reinforcing with the strength of your legs back into center. And just that extra little opening through your chest. Your next exhale, just take it into your extended side angle pose. Left forearm to your left thigh or length of left arm down the inside of the leg. Whatever variation you took last time, and that goes as well for your top arm here. Beautiful breathing. Nice. Inhale to return up to your warrior two. And we're just reversing the warrior on the exhale, taking the hand behind us to your hip, to your thigh, lifting up through that left arm. Gaze can come slightly up as your right shoulder lowers down. If you find yourself lifting away from the lunge, recommit to it. So as you're going into the lunge, you feel that lift from your hip crease up through your rib cage, up through the left arm. Breathe in on that reverse warrior, and the exhale, just cartwheel your hands down to a low lunge position. Onto the ball of the right foot, and then the gaze comes up, and we're taking that step up into our chair pose. And again, you're welcome to keep everything at hip bone distance as you bring it into chair, or you can have ankle bone, knees, thighs, big toes all pressed together, stabilizing you at center. Drop into those sit bones, drop back in space, strengthen around the knees, and then you've got your vertical twist over to the left when you're ready. So we did the same thing in our lunge. We're just taking it in chair now. So left hand behind you, right arm forward. And remember, you don't need to lean forward through your chest here. You want the center of gravity right over the balls of the feet. So your chest mainly right over your feet here. The left arm is the one that's doing the work as it reaches back in space. So feel that opening through your left shoulder. And just check if the right knee is swiveling forward. Line the right knee up so the left knee's lined up behind us. And then this time, we're letting the left heel root down to the ground, inhaling to reach arms and right knee up into our one-legged mountain. Finding that object in front of you that's not moving. This is a great place to stay if figure four, again, is not in the cards for you. If you want to start to move into figure four, just as you're ready, right ankle over the left thigh, flexing the toes back and towards the shin. And then whatever works for you, hands to heart is fantastic. Hands to hips, or one hand to that heel, one hand to that knee. And remember, reclined pigeon's a really good one to bring up, because what we're doing in reclined pigeon is we're using that ankle over the knee as a fulcrum point to let your knee gently open up and out so it opens up your hip. And that same thing is happening here with our figure four. And of course, finding the strength around that left knee. Okay, rise back up when you're ready to your one-legged mountain. If you want to layer up in one-legged mountain, it's the lift straight up through your right thigh. Remember, suitcase handle on right thigh is lifting, and then you're pressing that foot forward as you lift up through your leg. So we're not sacrificing, right, the length in the spine. And then on an exhale, as you're ready, friends, just bring the foot down to the ground. Give any shake out that you need, or if you want to roll out that left ankle that the foot that we've been standing on. Okay, and then we'll take our sun salutation B sequence that we just did, breath to movement. So an inhale to one pose and exhale to the other. As we, speed things up, we are still using the full length of the breath, and I want you to use the full length of your breath as we go through this, and use that to pace yourself. Inhale, draw up into mountain. Exhale to hinge out from the hips and control the swan dive to a forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen, strengthen around spine. Plant hands, we go to plank. Your choice of how you make your way to down dog inside of that flow like we talked about last time. We meet up in downward facing dog. On an inhale, right leg lifts back up, three-legged down dog. And with the exhale, step the foot up in between, knee to forehead, round spine, cat. Inhale, re-extend right leg back up, three-legged down dog. And then this exhale, we bring the foot up into our low lunge position. Next inhale is our high crescent lunge, reaching arms tall. And as you exhale, vertical twist to the right, so right hand behind you, left arm forward. On the inhale, find your warrior two, so knife edge of the left foot to the ground, left arm back, right arm forward. And then exhale to your extended side angle pose. On the inhale, it's all the way to reverse warrior, so sweeping the right arm up, left hand behind her to hit your hip. And on your exhale, bring it down into your low lunge position. The inhale is chair, left foot meets your right, arms lift. And as you exhale, take that vertical twist to the right, right hand behind you, left arm forward. Drop your right heel, inhale arms and left knee up, one-legged mountain. Stay here or exhale to figure four, left ankle over right thigh. The inhale brings us back up to one-legged mountain. You can add that layer up, extension and lift if you want. And then standing on the exhale, foot to the ground. Okay, inhale to lift up into mountain. On the exhale, hinge out from your hips. Control your swan dive down to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen and strengthen. Plant the hands, find your plank, and then your choice of how you flow, how you take your vinyasa. It could be that half push-up, cobra, or up dog. And then finding your way to down dog, working with your breath. As we meet in down dog, friends, inhale draws a left leg back and up, three-legged down dog. Exhale, knee to forehead, round the back. Inhale, reach it back up. And on the exhale, step up to your low lunge. Nice. Inhale is high crescent lunge, lift up through it. Exhale, vertical twist to the left, left hand behind you, right arm forward. Inhale to your warrior two. Left arm comes forward as right arm is back. And exhale to your extended side angle pose. Inhale, reverse your warrior, one big sweep up. And on the exhale, cartwheel down into your low lunge position. Gaze comes slightly up, chair pose on the inhale. So right foot meets the left. And as you exhale, we've got our vertical twist to the left. So left hand behind you, right arm forward. Drop that left heel to the ground. Inhale, arms and right knee up, one-legged mountain. Stay here or exhale to your figure four, right ankle over your left thigh. The inhale comes back up to that one-legged mountain, and you can extend and lift your thigh up, lift your leg, extend your leg, and then standing on the exhale, hands to heart. And then we'll flow to down dog. So inhale to lift up into mountain. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, or whatever you want to use for your flow. You could inhale, up dog, low cobra, or skip it. Exhale, down dog. Beautiful, friends. We'll meet up in child's pose when you're ready. Knees out wide towards the edges of your mat. Big toes together. Tops of the feet to the ground. Sit bones to the heels. Forehead relaxes to the earth, arms out in front of you. Nice deep inhales, nice long exhales. On an inhale, rise up into your tabletop. And then to get to your sit bones and then to your back, we'll meet up on the sit bones first. You can just swing, your legs forward, drop one of the hips to the ground. Plant your feet to the floor, your knees are up in space. Grab your hamstrings. And then as we go onto the back, we're going to go right into some core work where you'll have your low back rooted to the ground, but then mid, upper back are off the mat and your head's off the mat, your gaze is forward. And then reach your arms straight up. And when you're ready, we're going to exhale to release the arms back, or rather inhale to release the arms and head down. And then as you exhale, lift back up to where you just were. So reaching up, gaze is forward. You've got this. So inhales, reach you back, head is down, arms go back. Exhale, lifts everything straight up. And then the next time that we lift, we're just going to hold the arms straight up. Gaze is forward. If your neck needs support, just one hand back behind the base of the skull. Feel that flexion through the core muscles. Okay, and then we're going to do a few more on that movement. Again, inhale as you lay down, reach the arms to the back of the room. And then exhale, arms straight up as your gaze comes forward. Just a couple more of those. Take the last one. And then Supta Baddha Konasana, that reclined bound angle pose. Bottoms of the feet together, knees wide. Just relax the head, the arms where it feels comfortable. And with the legs in the diamond shape on the outside edge of your feet, the knees are gently opening, helping the hips open here. And we've already had some nice hip opening if we were working with that figure 4 from our one-legged balance. But this is a fantastic one, obviously, because you're just laying down on the ground. So nice. Just stay with that breath. Okay, and then the next bit of the core, we're going to meet up at a reverse tabletop. So take the hands behind the base of your skull, lift the head and shoulders off the ground, and then your knees are bent at 90, bottoms of the feet are pointing forward, and knees are right above your hips. Okay, and then your movement piece, these are just bicycles. So if you extend your left leg forward, your left elbow goes into your right knee, and then you switch out where your right leg goes forward, right elbow in towards left knee. And so just stay with your breathing inside of these. Take one or two more, and then I'm going to have you hold left elbow to right knee, left leg is extended. Left elbow to right knee, left leg is extended. Stay with your breathing. Nice, switch it out. So now right elbow to left knee, right leg extended. Breathe with it. Shine up through the chest here. Okay, and then you're doing a little bit of that switch up left and right just a few more times. Just the regular. Take it one more time on each side or two more times on each side even. And then we are going to meet up at a full morning stretch, friends, to open up through the abdominal wall. So you plant the feet to the ground, reach the legs all the way out in front of you, reach the arms all the way back overhead behind you. Maybe a little movement through your ankles, wrists, fingers, and toes. And again, just that full, deep breathing. Draw your knees in towards your chest, grab your hamstrings, and then you can just lift up to your sit bones like one time, or if you like the rock on the back, that can feel nice to go all the way back to the base of your skull, and you can take that another couple of times. But then eventually, we're just going to catch ourselves up on our sit bones. And this is preparation for Navasana boat pose. So your heels can plant, your knees are up, your toes are off the ground. Grab the hamstrings, and then really get a nice length through the spine. Tone your shoulders in, lift the feet, cross your ankles, and then we're going to take twists. So start to row your little canoe, your little boat here, twisting over to the left, and then twisting over to the right. And there's not a right or wrong way to work the breath in here as long as you're consciously engaging it. The hold is just boat pose, so however that looks for you. You can uncross the ankles. You can keep the knees bent, or as you hold, you could extend the legs. You could open the arms or have the hands back behind your legs, just holding boat pose. Lifting up through spine, toning shoulders in. Relax through the face. You got this. And then just a few more rows, just the last little bit here. Side to side, twisting. Ankles crossed. If you can bring the feet up off the ground, we're working with that same balance you would in boat pose. Beautiful, friends. We meet in tabletop, and we're just going to go into cat and cow once you arrive at tabletop. If you're unfamiliar, cat is rounding the back, head drops, mid-back goes high. And then cow is dropping the belly, lifting the chest and tailbone, bowing through the spine. Feel free to inhale to one, exhale to the other, or to hold on to one for a little bit before you move to the next. Add any side-to-side movement or back and forth movement inside of those two shapes. Okay, and then we're going to meet up for a dolphin pose. So this is downward facing dog, but on your forearms. There's a specific shape we work with the forearms, which is just the forearms on parallel. So sometimes you can just, from tabletop, lower down. You could do opposite hand to grip the outside of opposite elbow. That'll keep everything, the elbows at shoulder's distance. And then swing the arms back on parallel, spread out into your hands. And when you lift up, as you tuck your toes, lift the knees off the mat and create that down dog shape on your forearms, your elbows will want to flare out wide, and you're hugging them in towards center line. There's a lot of shoulder strength here too, as your shoulder blades are lifting back and up, so you're pushing your sternum back up towards your thighs. Stay where you are at, or inhale to reach your right leg back up, find the three-legged dolphin. If your right leg's up, release down, switch things out. Inhale to draw your left leg back and up. You're doing great. Stay with it. If left leg's up, bring it down. Last full round of breath in dolphin. And then walk back into a forearm plank position. Drop the hips to the ground, tops of the feet to the ground, and you're in Sphinx. Pressing into your forearms, finding length through the back of the neck. If you'd like, twist the gaze across the left shoulder, just a gentle twist in the neck in Sphinx. If you're over your left shoulder, nice and slow, take the gaze across the right. And then you can bring your head back and leave it at center, or you can let the weight of the head, with the head lifted at center, or let the weight of the head gently fall forward as you create cat in your upper back. Chin might move a little side to side. And from the Sphinx, we just melt down like we're laying out at the beach. Your chin could go to your hands or to the mat. You can pick your feet up in space at this point and start to draw windshield, or start to draw circles with your ankles, and then just maybe add a little side-to-side windshield wiper movement going on at the same time. So you're rolling out your knees, rolling out your ankles, and getting some really beautiful movement for the low back. For a final spine strengthener from here, friends, we can move into locust pose, very similar to low cobra, but this time we've got the thighs lifting off the earth as the arms reach back, shoulders tone in. Or you can do Dhanurasana bow pose, where you bind that locust, you bring the heels to the sit bones, legs kick back, arms pull taut, chest lifts, eventually thighs lift. Your knees might want to go out wider than hip bone distance. Keep the knees toned in at hip bone distance. And no matter which of those options you're going with, friends, keep the length in the back of the neck, chin slightly back to throat. So if you're looking forward, it's more out of the tops of your eyes. Find your breath. We're into about the last full round of breath around this. And then as you release down, it's downward facing dog. So move through tabletop or through your plank. Stretch through the spine, stretch through the legs, stretch and reach through the arms, tone in through the biceps. Nice. Once you're set in your down dog, lift your right leg back up, three-legged downward facing dog. And then we'll create a scorpion tail where you open the hip, drape the toes down over to the left as your knee lifts up. And watch that you're not sinking down into your left shoulder here. It's on level with your right. Okay, if you want to flip this to wild thing, this is always a fun one. You would flip the dog rather, so you drop the right leg back behind you. And then you can do what I'm doing where it's more of side plank. You've got the knife edge of your left foot to the ground. Your right knee is like bridge, right heel underneath the knee. And then you're reaching that right arm to the front of the room. Or like could be more like a full bridge where both heels are underneath your knees as you extend back. From that wild thing, we can turn back to our three-legged down dog. Everybody extend your right leg back and up. And then on the exhale, step up into your low lunge position. Beautiful. From that low lunge position, we'll find standing split. So taking the weight to your right foot, releasing the weight of the head down, lifting the left leg up in space, rooting to fingertips or pressing to fists or pressing into your palms. Gaze is back to the back of the room. So this is almost like a standing forward fold, just with one leg lifted back and up in space. Yeah, again, release the weight of the head. Just like you were going to press yourself up to a handstand through the fingertips or through the palms or through the fist. On an exhale, start to work the back left foot to the back of your mat, friends. And then for Warrior One, you can separate the heels out to hip bone distance. Knife edge of that left foot goes to the ground. And this is a hybrid between our Warrior Two and our high crescent lunge. So again, you can have your heels at hip bone distance. Your back left foot might not be pointing directly to the left of the room. It might be a little bit forward in space. And there's that twist going on. Again, keep the strength going down into that left leg as you're pulling your left hip away from it. Drop the hands behind you. Interlace the fingers at your knuckles. Inhale the knuckles down as the shoulders tone, chest lifts. And then humble warrior on the exhale, right shoulder towards the inside of the right thigh. Weight of the head releases down. Knuckles extend tall. You could bend the elbows a little bit and they could reach forward. And your right shoulder can hover above the thigh. It might rest onto it or it might come to the inside of it. Weight of the head releasing down. Gently reaching those fingertips forward. Using that breath. Your next exhale, release the hands down to frame the right foot, turn onto the ball of the left, so you're just in a low lunge position. Gaze comes up in space, and we rise all the way up into our one-legged mountain, bringing the arms, bringing the left knee with us. Excellent, friends. From that one-legged mountain, we are going to make our way into Warrior 3. So you could take both of your hands to your right thigh, and as you swim that left leg back in space, you could press the hands into the thigh as you make a capital T shape with your body. You can stay right here or leave your left hand where it is and extend your right arm forward. Your left toes are pointing down, so the front of your left hip bone is pointing down, and then your left heel is pressing to the wall behind you. You could remove the left hand from the right thigh at this point if you'd like, and both arms can go forward in space. Gaze is down to the ground, capital T shape with the body. Whatever support you need to create that capital T shape. Okay, if your arms are extended forward, bring the hands back into your thigh, and then take the fingertips back down to the ground. Remove it to a low lunge position. You could step back just into you can step back into a down dog, or if you want, you could step back to a plank and do our flow, lower halfway, inhale to upward facing dog, tuck the toes and make your way back into down dog. From our down dog, take your time getting there, friends, you're good. Left leg lifts up, three-legged down dog. And then open the hip and bend the knee. Make that scorpion tail with your left leg in space. Find the strength in your right shoulder. If we took Wild Thing on this side, we can start to flip the dog where your left heel plants underneath your left knee. Your right leg could extend down to the ground like side plank as your left arm goes forward, or you can do more of a bridge shape, both your heels underneath your knees. Press down into that right arm. Stay with your breathing. Love it. And then at your own pace, just make your way back to your three-legged down dog. Lift up tall through that left leg, breathe in. And as you exhale, step up into our low lunge position. Both hands are framing the left foot. Standing splits, the weight goes to your fingertips, your left foot. And then your right leg lifts. You're bowing with your head. You're bowing with your spine. It's a standing forward fold with the right leg lifted. Then press into your hands just like you were going to lift yourself up into a handstand. Lift back up tall through that right leg. Beautiful breathing. One more inhale to lift it. And on the exhale, we can lower back to the low lunge position and start to set your legs up for Warrior 1. So your heels could go a little bit wider so they're on railroad tracks. Knife edge of the right foot to the floor. Again, maybe it's angled a little more where your toes are a little more forward in space than they would be in Warrior 2 where they're to the side. And you feel into that twist, that connection into the knife edge of your right foot, that strength down into it, the hip drawing forward. You're in your lunge in your front leg, your arms are tall. With the breath in, we find that the lift, the opening through the chest. And with the exhale, you swim the hands behind, interlace the knuckles. Inhale the knuckles down, tone your shoulders, maybe bend the elbows back a little bit. And then with your exhale, bow forward, humble warrior. Elbows can come slightly forward in that bend as your knuckles lift high. And just to the degree that it works for you, right? The degree that the hands leave your low back. Remind the weight of the head to relax. Keep that strength in your legs. Beautiful. Start to find your low lunge position. Hands down to frame left foot onto the ball of the right. And then your gaze can come up a bit in space as you start to stand up on your left leg, bringing your arms and your right knee all the way into that one-legged mountain. Okay, so for Warrior 3, hands can come down onto the left thigh. And then you're swimming that right leg back in space as you press the hands into your thigh. Gaze is down, spine's at a half lift. Your right toes are pointing down to the ground as your right heel presses back. Feel free to leave your right hand to your left thigh and just extend your left arm forward if you want to go to the next place with this. If you're going to send both arms forward, this is a good time to do it, to extend left arm and right arm. Lifting that back heel up on level with hip. Gaze is down towards the earth. And then if your arms are in that place of extension, start to bring the hands back to your thigh. And then one at a time, take the hands down to the ground and release back into your low lunge. Ball the right foot back of your mat. And same thing, friends, you can step directly to down dog, or you might step to plank and find a final vinyasa, a final flow of class here. Whenever you hit that last down dog, again, take your time. You can lower back down onto a tabletop and then drop one of your hips to the ground. Bring your legs forward. Slide your heels up more towards the top of your mat. Have a little bit of a bend in your knees so they're off the ground. And then walk your sit bones back away from your heels. This will get you to the front edge of your sit bones, and once you're there with, again, a little bit of bend, draw your arms up just like you were in mountain, just like you're in Tadasana from the front edge of your sit bones. Breathe in, and then on your exhale, swan dive forward. You can connect to the shins or to your toes. On an inhale, just bring your chest up like you were a road biker lifting up through your chest, a road cyclist. And on your exhale, refold, gazes down, crown of the head reaches forward. And now, if you've got bend in your knees and you want to take it away, you can walk your sit bones back a little bit. Or if you need to add more bend into your knees, you can create more of a bend if needed. But we're finding a balanced level of sensation to work with in this forward fold, this seated forward fold. And you're just taking it breath by breath. The exhales are where we create that space for movement to happen with the body. Beautiful. Take the last round of breath or two. And then you can start to lift your arms back up when you're ready, inhaling tall. Exhale brings the hands through the heart center down into the floor at your sides. Plant the feet to the ground, shifting your hips up. Reach the arms forward and try to use your core strength, vertebrae by vertebrae, to come down. Release the weight of the head. So if you have your hair back in like a ponytail or a bun, let it go so the base of the skull is down. Step the heels towards you until your fingertips can touch your heels. That will line the heels up underneath the knees. Feet are at hip bone distance on parallel. And then bend your elbows so your hands are reaching up in space. Press into your triceps. And start to bring your shoulder blades closer towards one another as you lift the hips off the ground into bridge pose. And as the shoulder blades come closer in, we're making that shelf for our heart in bridge. Feel the big toes gripping to the ground, so we're using all corners of our feet, stabilizing the knees here. And then that big breathing, weight of the head is relaxed. We're right about there, so just a really slow vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae roll of your spine back to the ground. And when your hips do land, send your right ankle over your left knee. And now we referenced reclined pigeon earlier in class. Now we'll take reclined pigeon. So once you've got your right ankle over your left knee, you're grabbing onto the shin or the hamstring of that left leg. Your left arm goes to the outside of the left leg. Right hand goes into the gap we've created between the legs. Tone your right foot. Toes back towards your shin. Right knee can gently flex forward. You could start to add a little side-to-side rock here. Weight of the head's just relaxed. At some point, maybe your right hand even gives a gentle press onto the inside of that right knee or right thigh, giving a little move forward. Beautiful breathing. Send the left leg flat out in front of you. Draw your right knee up towards your right shoulder. And then your left hand will pull your right knee to a twist. So it will pull your right knee down over to the left. You roll onto the outside edge of your left hip. Right arm reaches to the right. Your gaze goes out over your right fingertips. Right shoulder gently pulls down towards the ground. Your inhale will push against the twist, but when your exhale comes, your body will release deeper into the twist. And just following the length of the inhale. And just creating that depth that then you can ride out on your exhale. Nice. Bring the knees to your chest. Wrap your arms around your shins and just give yourself a little side-to-side rock, neutralizing the spine. And then we'll switch out that reclined pigeon. So right foot to the ground, left ankle over the top of your right thigh. Wrap around the hamstring or shin or the knee on that leg and bring the knee towards you. Find the flexion in your left foot. Let your left knee gently flex forward. And just enjoy that deep breathing. And finally, we'll stretch the right leg flat out in front. Let the left knee hug up in towards the chest or up towards the left shoulder. And then moving to the twist when you're ready, your right hand just drawing the left knee, pulling down over to the right. You're on the outside edge of your right hip, and then you extend the left arm out to the left, allowing your left shoulder to pull down towards the ground. Awesome breathing. Nice, guys. Then just bring the knees into your chest, flat on your back. You might even do a happy baby. You're just taking your last little move before our Shavasana. Happy baby could be your peace sign fingers to your big toes or the hands to the edges of your feet. Bending your knees so the bottoms of the feet are shining to the sky. Ankles above your knees, knees wide, and then getting the low back to press down towards the ground or into the ground as you rock it side to side. And then as you make moves into your final resting pose, if you need putting more layers on of clothing to keep yourself warm, that's great. Or if you need to take a sip of water, you want to set yourself up where just for a few minutes we can explore stillness. You can allow the weight of the feet to relax open, the weight of the arms and the hands to relax, eyes to close. And we give control of the breath just back over to the automatic workings of the body. And we slip back into that space where we don't have to control anything. We get to just be. Nice and slow, start to move your fingers, your toes, deepen your breath. Reach and extend your arms back behind you in space. Reach fingers to the back wall, stretch toes to the front wall. Gently roll ankles and wrists. And then turn the weight of your body onto your side, finding a fetal position and curling up. You can use your outstretched arm as a pillow for your head. Taking a slow, deep round of breath here. And then gently pushing to the ground and bringing yourself to a comfortable cross-legged position or any pose that feels good and works for you to end our class with, to put a seal on our experience. If you are on your sit bones, just find the front edge of your sit bones, pulling the flesh away or walking them back. And once you've found the pose that works for you, inhale to extend your arms wide and tall, lengthening the spine, opening through the heart. And on the exhale, press the palms together and bring the thumbs, the knuckles of your thumbs towards your sternum. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether it is clear to you or not, no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. The light in me greets the light in you. Namaste.